Thanks. All right, welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, March 23rd, 2015. If you would please stand. We're going to have, is this Troop 41? Troop 41. We'll have Troop 41 lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead, guys. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we have some announcements. If we want to start down the end, Mr. Franny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say that the Abington Lion Club is having their first annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 28th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Abington Senior Center, open to Abington youngsters through grade 4 activities, refreshments, raffle items, special visit by the Easter Bunny, and bring your camera. For more information, Lion Michelle Kristen Odom at 871-308-1453, or any Lion Club member. And as we all know, if the Lions Club put it on, it's done right, and it should be a very good time. So plan on showing up.
Thank you for that ad lib at the end. That was very good. Maureen?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just taking a second here to acknowledge the winners of some of the categories in yesterday's St. Patrick's Day Parade. And by the way, thank you again to Jack Bailey, Bailey's Garage, for running that. So anyway, so here are the winners. In the category Best Decorated Car, first place, Off-Road Elements Jeep. Second place, Jack O'Leary, 1975 Pontiac. Third place, Dairy Queen's Corvette. Best Decorated Truck, first place, Atlantic Elevator. Second place, the 4-H Club. Third place, Abington Lions. Fourth place, St. Bridget's After School. Best Float, first place, Martin's Bakery. Rosie and Fred Villa decorated a float known as the Irish Goat Herder, and it was Jerry Cochran and his goats and duck. So we're happy for that. Yay, Jerry. Second place was a Haunted Mansion put on by the Abington Ale House. Third place, Whitman Pack 59. And fourth place was Bob Anderson Landscape. Most Spirited was won by Abington Midget Football. Best Use of Imagination was Dunkin' Donuts. And the Military Color Guard score, first place, Rockland Police. Second place, Plymouth Legion. And third place, Abington Legion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burbine?
The Abington Green Wave Boosters are hosting their annual Teamwork Trivia this Saturday, March 28th, 7 o'clock p.m. until 11 o'clock p.m. at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Abington. Cost is $20 per person, $200 per table, 10 seats per table, adults only, cash bar, raffles, 50-50, championship trophy, and prizes for the winning team. All proceeds support the Abington Green Wave Boosters sub-varsity athletics at Abington High School. This is a really fun event. If anybody's interested, they can contact Mary Rogers at 781-223-8281.
You don't have your heart set on that trophy this year, Andy, do you?
We were very close last year.
Close.
I expect we'll get it this year.
That's because I was on your team. A couple announcements. April 4th is our annual, sponsored by Sage, the e-waste day. So basically anything with a plug you can drop off at the Highway Department from 9 to 3 o'clock. It's a great way to save on our trash costs for the town, and it frees up your trash barrel for trash. Participants are they're encouraged to bring a donation for the food pantry if you could. I think they're looking for paper products, but that's not necessary, but it would help out the food pantry too. And the police open house will be held this Sunday from 1 to 3 at the police station, so everyone is welcome to check out their digs. So I think that's all I have. I know we have an early appointment because these gentlemen have another meeting, so we could get an update on the Starwood, the old Naval Air Station, if Mr. Aiello, who's the town's representative, and Mr. Barry could come up to the podium, and I don't know if there's anybody else that you want to.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Aiello. I am Abington's representative on the Southfield Redevelopment Authority. And with me tonight, I have Jim Young, who is the land planner at Southfield, and also representing Starwood, Mr. Matt Barry and Mr. Bill Ryan. Thank you for inviting us tonight, and we're going to give you a quick, maybe Mr. Barry can give you just a quick update of where we are, and then we'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Good evening. It's great to see everyone again. I think the last time we were here was before the legislation passed. The legislation passed, signed into law by the governor August 20th. Since then, the board was reconstituted, you remember, as well, and they've done a great job moving forward with establishing themselves, establishing a budget, establishing the tax rate, and doing all the transitional requirements of the legislation. We have one final issue to resolve. There's a Phase 2 Parkway financing agreement that needs to be put in place. We have made inroads with the new governor's administration, made some introductions and had some discussions, so we believe that that parkway financing will occur. Absent that parkway financing, we've still been able to move forward with land sales. We closed on a land sale to Pulte of New England for the development of 4 buildings that would be 200 condominium units. You should have received by now the host community fees associated with that land sale, and we have 2 more land sales that should be submitted shortly here to the SRA board for their review and approval, and when those site plan approvals are obtained, we will close on land with 2 additional developers. So over the first quarter of the year, we should be finishing the 2 land sales, the one with Pulte and 2 additional ones to get the project going, get some momentum in construction on the site. So that's what we've been doing since the last time we met, and happy to answer any questions. I'm not sure if you guys had any other details we wanted to provide tonight.
Yes, Mr. Frady.
The last time we spoke, Matt, obviously the roadway was a problem, but so wasn't to continue development, water and sewer. Can you give us an update on where we might be with, or you guys might be, obviously, it's your, the water and sewer plans?
Yep, we have identified the solutions. We have the consultants and the agreements ready with those consultants to begin. We will start that work as soon as we have the parkway deal in place. There is a portion of the parkway that's being designed now, so there'll be a connection from the end of the existing Delahunt Parkway to Trotter Road that MassDOT is designing right now, and we expect to have under construction before the end of the year.
At one point, if I might, Mr. Chairman, there was a, this is probably going by the wayside, but there was like a flyover from Route 3. Is that off the map now? Is that still under consideration, or is that something that might happen in the future? As I understand, it was going to go, correct me if I'm wrong, it was going to go from Route 3 right out to Route 18?
Right. We don't know at this time what the solution would be at the train tracks, so there could be a flyover. There could be an improved at-grade crossing that would have the appropriate safety measures put in place for an at-grade crossing. So those 2 are still things that we're talking with the governor's administration about, and exactly how that will conclude, we don't yet know until that agreement is put in place.
Thank you.
Andy?
There was, I think in the front of the planning board a couple of weeks ago here in Abington, they've maybe proposing a rezoning of the Abington portion of the land. Do you have any feelings one way or the other on that? And also Southfield, I don't know if the representatives from Southfield themselves could chime in on that.
Yep, we were made aware of that. We would look forward to the opportunity to come and meet with your planning board and have a discussion about it. We don't know the genesis of that thought. We'd certainly like to participate in any change in zoning and talk to them about it. It still is a master plan community, even though we've reverted back to the land, going back to the 3 towns and the municipal responsibility to each of the 3 towns, but we would like to participate in that. So we look forward to meeting with them and trying to better understand their thoughts and what they've proposed. Currently, we don't have a change in that land proposed, and so we would like to understand their thoughts before commenting, but didn't in our minds conceive of the proposed change going forward the way it has.
So if the proposed change were accepted here in Abington, how would that change the way you have to do your planning as the master plan goes? Or?
It could. It absolutely could. I mean, we certainly it's how the adjacencies work between different land uses are important. As you buy a home, you'd like to know what's happening. If there's preserves and open space behind you, that's one thing. If it's zoned for a different use, that might affect the land value. but we don't fully understand what's been proposed, and so we would like to make sure we're participatory in that process and, kind of ensuring we understand what they've proposed and why before we comment on it.
Have you met with them at all?
Not specific to this topic. We have come before them as we were reviewing the last land sale to Pulte and had a conversation regarding that, but nothing about this change in zoning in Abington. So hopefully we'll have that opportunity to talk in more depth with them and then have a position going forward.
Thank you.
All set? Yep.
Just a quick question. With Pulte is, you said 200 condos. The other two pending land sales, can you speak to what the development would be on that?
Those are single-family homes.
Yeah.
So combined, they should be just about 140 single-family. All of it is a for-sale product. All of it will be ownership. And we hope to have the details of those submitted. And then, as you know, as when those applications come in, it's distributed to the towns for comment, and we'd be able to more specifically comment on those plans when they're finalized and submitted. I don't want to speak on behalf of the other developers because they may change their plans as they meet with the SRA and go over the application, but those should come out pretty soon. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have 2 more land sale applications in, and then it's a 30 to 45-day process to have those approved.
Just, on the single-family homes, Matt, how many, is there a land, amount of square footage requirement per home? Like a zoning requirement, 10,000, 20,000 square feet?
We have small lot, single families that are a maximum 5,000 square foot land, and then you can go above that with large lot.
How many homes on the single-family they plan on?
The next 2 land sales will be about 140 new single-family homes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had one other, when we last met, we were discussing mitigation, and you had agreed that you would sit with Rick and maybe somebody else, another representative of the board.
We did.
To try and come up with maybe additional mitigation. I think we were still working on obtaining some figures. Has that progressed at all, or have you had further discussions with?
If I might.
Yep, we have met, but it's not conclusive, but we have met, and we're open to meeting again as we go forward.
Rick and I met with Matt and had a actually it was a nice meeting. We went over a lot of different stuff, but we didn't know what to what does he want from us, because at the time they didn't have a plan. So there was no plan to see how it was going to impact the town. So, and there was a lot of unanswered questions, the Parkway, there was a lot of issues. And now, something that, we were getting settled a little bit. I would wish that Mr. Barry will settle again. Matt had agreed that once some of these things became more apparent, that would sit again and talk, so.
And just to point out that the agreement that all 3 communities have with Starwood, there is I guess you'd say a sunset clause on mitigation, but Mr. Barry had agreed that as these things became clearer, they'd be willing to speak to us. It was our agreement was modeled on Weymouth's and Rockland's.
Right.
I think everybody might have similar issues as we go forward, but I think in fairness, Mr. Barry did offer to sit with us as when things became clearer.
Any other members, questions? I have one question. You stated that there's a solution to the water and the sewer issues. You're meeting with the consultants. What are the solutions?
Well, we have consultants lined up to start the design of the wastewater treatment plant on site.
So that will be a wastewater treatment plant? Okay.
That's been the solution we've identified, and the process we would like to go through would be primarily a Weymouth water solution with the MWRA connection through Weymouth. So we have started some of those discussions, but until we have the Parkway agreement in place, we haven't started a lot of the significant engineering investment, and we hope to do that hopefully in the next couple of months.
And does it still appear that the wastewater treatment plant will be on the Abington portion of the property, or has that changed?
Yes. No, that's where it's permitted now, based on the geology, hydrology of the site. That's where the engineers tell me we should put it.
Okay. Any other questions on the board?
Aye.
Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, good night, thanks for having us.
No problem. Thanks again. I got to warn you guys, in True 41, that was the most exciting part of the evening. Right there, so. We have a... We're a little early for the 7 o'clock appointment, which is probably, okay. I just want to speak briefly, if I could, ask a question about something, this topic's been around town. I know it's not an agenda item, but I think it's something that's come up as of late, and that's potholes. They appear to be really, really bad, and there's a lot of feedback on, if anybody pays attention to the internet, which I'm sure we all do, there's a lot of feedback, and I understand some of the feedback, especially on Route 18, and then some of the town streets are pretty bad, too. So, obviously, it's happening everywhere, and it's been a tough year, but maybe you can address some of those questions, concerns?
Sure, and as you know, Route 18 is a state road, and our highway department is getting calls daily, obviously, about the condition of Route 18, particularly up by the Weymouth line. As of right now, the highway superintendent has had an engineer from Mass Highway out there to look at it. There's no commitment yet as to when they will be pursuing or proceeding with any patching up there. One of the concerns that's been outlined is that that's the portion of the roadway that they would expect to be embarking on a significant overhaul next year. So what kind of resources are they willing to put into it short term? But that's obviously unacceptable for any period of time. One of the things that our superintendent was going to do is to find out as quickly as possible if the town put its own manpower into it, if they would reimburse us for any supplies, materials, et cetera. So when I have an answer to that question, we'll send that along to you. The best case scenario, obviously, is if District 5 comes up and takes care of the problem themselves. It is their problem technically, but it's the problem of the people that have to commute from up and down the street primarily. So I will provide you with further update as we get more information from Mass Highway on Jack's proposed solution, at least short term.
Okay.
You also, I'm sorry.
No, and the widening, I can understand, because the widening of 18, which is scheduled to happen sometime,
Yes.
and not redoing work. When is that scheduled to begin, assuming snow eventually melts?
I hear somebody whispering in the background here. Yeah, so sometime next calendar year is when it, which again, it's unacceptable to go more than.
Doesn't mean they can't patch it.
Right.
The question is, to what extent are they willing to put resources into that road? But it's, because, patching is a
Doesn't last
temporary,
forever, yeah.
and, so, but something obviously needs to happen. That's unacceptable for any period of time.
If I just might, so, the other, 2 nights ago, I was going down, I actually received a couple of phone calls on that, and I didn't know how to answer it either, because I said it was a state road, but somebody did ask me the question, because in my view, that's a very dangerous situation. You can not only just ruin your front end, you could lose your whole car. It's brutal. And if it wasn't for vehicles stopping in front of us, we wouldn't have known what it was, and somebody had to know it. But if you're coming late at night and you happen to be going over that, I'll tell you what, you could do some serious damage to your car. So that being the point, it is, we always talk about safety issues. It would seem to me that that's, should be addressed relatively quickly, is what I'd probably want to say. I don't know I know patching is only temporary and stuff, but it's, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go up there. It's pretty,
Yes, I
really,
have.
really bad.
Yeah. In fact, I was up there as recently as this afternoon at the request of the chairman, just to, one of the concerns that has been expressed too is, town offices, particularly the highway department, is getting flooded with questions from not just Abington residents, but anybody that uses the roadway about filing claims.
Right.
Well, the fact that Abington isn't liable for the condition of the roadway is not the primary issue here. It's the fact that it's, it's a major conduit on the South Shore, and anytime you have significant damage to any vehicle, it ties up other resources, public safety resources, highway resources. So it is coming back to haunt us all, whether or not we are technically liable. So we have to separate those issues. And to the extent that people may feel that the town isn't responding because we don't have liability, that is not the case. It's trying to get clear answers from District 5 as to what they will permit us to do, what they might reimburse us for if we engage in our own.
That's what I was going to ask. Are we prohibited from even patching at this point and then dealing with them after the fact?
Well, we would like to have in advance a commitment that they would reimburse us, not necessarily for labor. Labor can be done, I know it's an inconvenience during the daytime, but that can be done by highway department personnel or contractors, hopefully at a fairly low cost, but the reimbursement for materials and supplies, trying to get some commitment from the state, from District 5, as to what they would be willing to do if the town of Abington took care of the problem, at least temporarily, getting that up front, as opposed to trying to do something and then fight later on to try to get some reimbursement. So that's at least where it is as of this moment. And that'll probably be changing by the hour here, so I will keep you updated as we get more answers from District 5. So.
Yeah, I'm just surprised on that, from my observation, what a serious problem it was that, you know, state police officer or even a local police officer couldn't, or one of our local politicians couldn't. It just, I think it's unbearable that people have to put up with that as long as too dangerous to not look at.
Yeah.
So,
and our legislators have been informed prior to me doing so they are aware of it and are obviously trying to address it from their angle, too.
Oh, good.
So,
I mean, it's bad enough during the day, but at night you can't see them. Is there, even if, I'm back in old school, the lights, the blinking lights, if we could put something up there, so.
yeah, there was 3 cones, but they were way off the side. They were on the...
Route 18 is in tough shape, I think, at least from Weymouth all the way, I know personally, way past the Middleborough Rotary. It's in very difficult shape after this winter, so the state's going to have its hands full in terms of how they're going to deal with the larger issue here. But in the short term, that area it's just a matter of time before somebody or something gets hurt, so we will keep you informed as the days go by as to what commitment we get or don't get from Mass DOT and what we would intend to do internally here.
And as far as some of the town roads, you mentioned that there's some money in the pipeline, a special,
There's, about $58,000 would be available for Abington for the governor has released funds, the so-called pothole fund, which is distributed using the same formula as the Chapter 90 funds are. Those funds will become available any day now, actually, and would have to be expended by the end of the fiscal year, which is likely to not be a problem, either here or anywhere else. So Mr. Kane is trying to get a sense of how far that money will go and what the priorities will be. And some of those priorities have to do with the phone calls and, any claims of damage. And obviously, it's important to know exactly what role, as we just talked about with the last issue, is how much of a role the state's going to take in terms of fixing their roads so that we don't have to spend our money doing that.
I'm sure that the highway department is well aware of every pothole in the town of Abington, but if people still want to make their concerns known, they just call the highway department, leave a message, or?
Yes, the highway department takes those calls and logs complaints of pothole complaints.
Okay. Any other questions about the potholes, guys?
No, but Maureen and I think you should put it on the website.
I was just saying, I wish there was, I know we're going to talk about website, but if there was a place someone could go instead of making a phone call. And
Well,
just
that brings,
a link.
that
But
brings up,
I'm not
that
going
brings
there.
up an interesting issue that we'll talk about.
Talk later.
When we
All
talk
right,
about the
you got it.
website, because I know what the town manager's going to say. Okay.
Not jumping ahead, not jumping.
7 o'clock, National Grid, request for installation of a new 40-foot Class 4 pole at 3 McGeo Street. Step right up. Keep it entertaining for the kids, all right?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering if the scouts have any questions?
Okay.
No?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Let me, this is a public hearing, I did not realize that, so I have to read it. Do I have to read this? Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing. No, it's not 7 o'clock yet, so I still have to wait. So I have to wait till 7, sorry, because I have to follow these rules, or I'll get in trouble. You can stay there, though, it's only a couple minutes from now. While we have a minute, would the Boy Scouts, the troop leaders like to introduce the Boy Scouts, or the Scouts like to introduce themselves? Guys want to stand up and introduce yourselves? We got 3 minutes to kill. 1 minute. 1 minute. Go ahead.
I'm Ryan.
Ryan, okay,
Ryan,
Ryan.
how are you?
Hi, Ryan.
Tim Petersky.
Hey, Tim.
Hello, Tim?
Nick Schultz.
Nick.
Nick.
Nick?
Thomas.
Thomas? Willard?
Okay, well, welcome, and we hope you're not as bored as we are.
What badge are you going for? What is this? You're all trying to... Okay, good.
All
Thank you for
Thanks
coming.
for coming.
If you guys have any questions, just let us
They're
know.
learning a little bit about how the town is run, of the organization of the town, and what goes on with board meetings, and they'll be discussing some topics with people about just important topics that towns covered and what people's opinions are. And then they start off with citizenship in the community, and they move on to citizenship in the nation, and then citizenship in the world.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's excellent.
If you guys have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll answer it, because we have parts where the people in the audience can ask questions, so, okay? But the hour being 7 o'clock, the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing, March 23rd, 7 PM, Carter Hearing Room, Abington Town Hall, on application of National Grid and Verizon New England for installation of a new 40-foot Class 3 pole, 3 McGeo Street, with anchor and sidewalk fixture in order to alleviate aerial trespass issues. Please see accompanying sketch. Ken Coyle, Chairman. I didn't really write that, but I signed it. This is the first hearing I've had to do on a pole replacement, so we have a public hearing, and then we just, now you can talk.
Okay, my name's Steve Breton, I work in the engineering department at National Grid. With the installation of this one pole on McGeo Street, is that how you pronounce it,
Yep.
McGeo Street? We can eliminate 4 poles that run behind some of these houses that run through the woods. So with the addition of this one pole, we get rid of 4 poles.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Were abutters invited to this?
Yes.
They were? Are there any abutters present that would like to speak? Nope, that was easy. Okay, I'll take any other questions from the audience. You guys want to ask questions about telephone poles? Nope, okay, I don't either, so, you guys all set?
These are the same size as the poles that are on the street now.
The poles on the street, we're going to replace, they're all 35-foot poles, we're going to replace them with 40-foot poles.
So they'll all be 40 feet.
They'll all be 40 feet tall.
And the same things running on them, nothing,
Well, we have to run a new wire to the new pole,
Yeah.
but we're not adding anything special to any of these poles. We will be putting a transformer on the very last pole to provide, better power to these houses, but
good, so there's
it's standard electric company stuff. is what
upgrade.
We're putting on here.
Got it. Thank you.
Set? Motion to close the hearing, right?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to close the hearing. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good
Motion on the question.
Move we approve?
Move we approve the polls.
No, poll.
Poll, sorry. Second. Any questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just be careful when you're going up there with the potholes.
We had a request from, I don't have it here in front of me, but from Sage Committee to come to our meeting and talk about, do I have anything in writing what they want? Well, if we could have Sue Brennan, if you want to come up to the microphone. Sue, you are on the Sage Committee. Are you the chair? Yes. You are, okay, perfect.
Good evening.
We plugged your e-waste day, you heard that already?
Yes,
Okay, all
thank
right.
you, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a feeling that's going to be quite the event.
Yes.
Probably have 4 trucks this year.
Excellent.
And with the food pantry donations, I think that worked out very well last year. I'd just like to update you on some 2015 projects. There are 2 seats open on this board committee, so if anyone would like to sign up.
We'll
or
put it on the website
put it
for
on
you,
the website.
if we could?
Yeah, just 2 seats, because Martin Dolphin, he's been traveling, so usually appointments are like May-ish, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and Barbara Down. The gardens, the community gardens will be again this year. We have room for approximately 36 to 38 plots this year. We have commitment of 22. So if anybody would like a community garden this year, the website doesn't have updated information on it right now, but we can either send a letter to the town hall, we can pick it up, call us, abingtonsage.com, hopefully, and we can get back to you if you'd like a plot for this year. We signed a contract with Synergy Energy to reduce our energy by 20%. We will start seeing that savings approximately May and June in our bills. So
That's for every town building?
Right.
yes, that's the whole town across the,
Right, that's the net metering agreement, which is where the town gets credits, net metering credits from agreeing to purchase essentially renewable energy that's put on the grid from projects that are done in other towns. So we have just because you don't have a project in your own community doesn't mean you can't participate in buying energy credits. So that's the net metering agreement. And I know the SAGE committee interviewed a lot of possible partners before they recommended Solaire. And so the question was going to be, so thank you for that, those timelines, taking agreements from various communities. Solaire then leverages that to get investment to actually build a renewable energy facility. So when that comes online is when we actually start to see those credits. And the estimate is that it's about 20% off the energy generation portion of your bill, so the timeline?
yeah, May, June.
Yeah.
Because the snow has.
This year?
Yes, this year, yeah. So that's exciting. The snow, of course, has inhibited a lot of projects to move forward. We signed the contract about 10 months ago. We've been working with them for about 18 to 20 months, the town and SAGE and the town manager. So if there's any projects that you see or you hear coming up, tell us. And they are willing to work with us. There's no cost to us. They evidently make money on the credits and working the negotiation. They also would like to work with us with the schools, the new school coming online. So we thought that was a great project moving forward to see how we could save with all the energy in the new schools. So they'd like to work with us on that project also. The green status designation, that has been, I know, we've been working diligently on that. Unfortunately, we missed the deadline because town meeting moved up the last year, but we'd still like to pursue that. There's money to be had, there's grants to be written, so we'd really like to pursue the green status designation for Abington.
Do you have much information together on that?
Yes, would you like to?
Yeah, if you can get that to us.
Yeah,
just so we can
absolutely,
take a look
yeah.
at
We've
it.
sent it out. I mean, the criteria changes a little bit. It's the 20% reduction in energy, which we are going to achieve, which we pretty much have achieved, but they want it in like a 20-month span to look at, so we kind of keep missing that window. But with our 20% reduction with synergy moving forward, hopefully we can gain that. There was 4 criteria on.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
remember seeing it, but if
So
you
I
could-
can definitely revisit that and send that out again.
Okay.
And then the other thing was, we'll probably have a fall yard sale again. So once the new website's up and running or information, we'd like to join with maybe another Lions or whatnot, I know, so.
Okay.
But those are the 2015 projects we have moving forward.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you an update and
Great.
keep us updated on, and yes.
Just a question on the energy credits.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the energy credits come from either solar or wind.
Correct. The alternative energy piece.
Correct. What happens if the company can't supply us? Like, what if the wind doesn't blow, the sun doesn't come out, so you're not getting, what happens in an event? Would you actually have to go back to the electric company and pay more per kilowatt hour than, I mean, just a question.
Abington has done a study on wind. We know we're not even in.
No, I realize that, but
with solar
these
itself?
aren't, as I understand it, so these aren't even projects in Abington, these are projects that are in other towns, is that true? So.
Yes,
so-
yes, large-scale
So
projects.
so they've established solar panels and some wind farms in other towns, and then they're gonna sell these credits.
Correct.
What if they oversell them or they can't come up with enough energy? What happens then? Does the town, do we pay more for electricity because we're out of the
Right,
national
is
grid?
there a downside for this signing this agreement, I guess?
No, not to my knowledge, because say Abington, we're at 4.2 megawatts,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the contract we signed was 3.8, so we have underestimated for Abington. So we didn't say, 5 megawatts. We said, okay, Abington traditionally runs on 4.5, let's be conservative for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we can always go back to the table and ask for more, but it's quite the demand. And it's in the electric companies' contracts now, they have to take as 10% or 15% of alternative energy. They're not
Yeah,
liking
right.
it, but So I don't foresee that an issue. I've never heard of that issue, but I can definitely see if there's any particular reason
No,
why
it's just
it
like in the
would.
recent storms, I know, because we have solar panels on our shop, and they were out for, well, whatever length of time, there was a lot of snow on them. They just weren't going to move, so they just didn't produce anything for that period of time. So
Usually store it, the storage piece was depleted also for that?
No, when they're charging, they send the power right back out to the electric lines.
Correct.
There's no batteries,
Okay.
so there's no charging. But when they're working, and they're working properly, they do fine, but there's the inverter, and they go right back out to the grid.
So your question is downtime?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I know they used to do it with gas, natural gas. You could buy, like so many therms, you could buy so many, BTUs of therms. But then, if you ran out,
Yeah.
you were kind of at the mercy of the gas company to find, it's just a question.
No, I'm writing it down. That's good. Thank you, Mike. And pricing.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Thanks, Sue.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
See you April
Sue.
4th.
2 openings, we'll put them on the website for you.
Please, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. 7:20, we're early. This isn't a hearing, though, I don't think, is it? No. All right, this is a request for a livery license. Keith Gutierrez, 1343 Washington Street. Perfect timing, come on up, Keith. While he's stepping up here, could the town manager explain what a livery is for the Troop 41 lads and myself? What's a livery?
A livery license is a license for a private party to transport citizens of Abington. Essentially, it's it's similar to a taxi service, but it's not a taxi per se.
That's accurate.
There you go, okay, right there.
Welcome. You can state your name, your address, if you could, and just do...
Mr. Chairman, if I could, for the benefit of the scouts, and the purpose of this for the selectmen is to ensure that there's no safety problems with anybody that is licensed to pick you up privately at your home to go, a lot of times, to the airport or to other public places, so that there's some confidence by the public that whoever's picking them up has the proper safety clearances through the police department and the local board of selectmen. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith, you want to state your name, your address, and maybe a little bit about what you were planning on doing, please?
Sure. Keith Gutierrez, 1343 Washington Street, apartment 3, not far from here. And basically, I want to help get people to work. I mean, it basically really comes down to that. I've been driving off and on for a couple of companies over the years, Braintree, Liberty Cab, and most notably Robbins Taxi out of Rockland. And I keep noticing every single day, especially lately, that we can't handle it. People tell me all the time that there needs to be another cab around here. There used to be. There used to be a few. But now it's just Robbins with the one car, and a lot of times people left stranded. Now, it might not sound like that big a deal the way I'm saying it, but a lot of times people can't get to work from work. They can't get home from the train if someone bailed on a ride. And with this winter, it really proved it to me that I think this area needs another cab, and no one else is willing to do it. I've been waiting the last 8 months for someone to do it, and I guess I got some consult to try myself, and it didn't seem that difficult when I started to put it together, so I'm going to give it a shot.
So it'd be more of a taxi service rather than like a sedan service? It'd be more like a taxi local, or do you get anything?
I have Camry, and it'll be just me, 7 days a week.
Just to speak on personal experience, where I work, we actually need cabs a lot for our customers, and there is really no place in town that you can call a cab, so it's tough to reach someone, so that's good news.
Not even Hanover, Norwell,
Nope.
Pembroke, Hingham, all these towns, Hull.
Holbrook one once in a while, but that's not even...
We get called out to Marshfield and Plymouth, and Plymouth has a cab, and we still get called out there. We can't handle it all.
Board members have any questions for Mr. Gutierrez?
Keith, how do you determine your rates? Do you set them, or are they set by...
Well, they are unregulated, so basically
regulated.
people have to like them or not, you
So
know
you-
what I mean?
you-
That's
you
how the
set them?
business is. Yeah, I set them, and what I do is I compare to the other companies. I'm pretty much going to charge almost exactly like Robbins, but they pay a little bit more because they're a taxi.
There's much higher insurance on that. They have bigger cars, so they charge a little bit more than I'm going to be doing. Mine is a little simpler, and I'll be serving 3 towns equally, even though I'm an Abington cab.
Would your rates be like right there so people can see them?
Actually, yes, I have a copy with me now if you want to see.
Great. Okay.
Is that something that's mandated, Rick, as far as the rates being published for people to see, do you know? or-
I don't, that there's no mandate I'm aware of to publish those.
But, I mean, for him to display them on, inside the...
I'm not aware of that.
The other question I would have for Rick is, how about, does he have to provide proper insurance that he has proper insurance on his automobile? Is that something he has to provide to us?
He would have to provide that to the licensing authority, yes, which obviously the Board of Selectmen, which really means Dory in this case.
Yes.
So, yes, but,
I know that the police and fire have no issues at all. Yes, Maureen?
I was going to ask, when you have a second, how do you plan to advertise? Will you be online? Will you have business cards, placards?
Right, Facebook and in person. The community that I'm looking to serve is not necessarily one that's that large. There are enough people here who need to get to work, and I hear from people in the cab every single day, no exaggeration. I turn away maybe anywhere between $100 and $350 worth of fares every day that I work. That's a lot of people. And I figure the more people that can get around, the more conducive the community will be to jobs and helping fuel the economy. I mean, I think it's that simple.
Any other questions from the board?
Just because I'm curious, is Uber going to affect you at all, or do they come?
Not in the
I don't know if
slightest.
Uber comes down to...
That actually is a backup plan of mine. But I actually don't, while I love that they're out there, and I love that it's been invented, I think it's rather brilliant. I don't think it works in the suburbs at all.
No.
It relies on people to basically feel like working whenever they want in a place where there isn't much random business. It's more you said, you want to be able to trust who's driving you. And I think that's very important around here. People, I have, not to toot my own horn, I guess, but I have somewhat of an influence on the people I drive. They know that they can trust me. They tell me this all the time. I don't have to say it, but I guess I have to hear. They need more transportation.
No, there have been some
That's what I
issues
want to
with Uber
serve.
too, so that's fine.
Thank you.
All set?
Yes.
Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are flying through this agenda tonight, I gotta tell you.
Do you need this back?
No, you can keep that.
I guess the next agenda item is approval of March 9th, 2015, open and executive session minutes. Does anybody have?
Motion to approve the minutes?
I'm going to do them separately.
Let's do them separately. Open session first, so we have a motion to approve the open session minutes.
Second that.
Seconded. I will wholeheartedly agree, but just if for future reference, it's Lions, like roar Lions, like Lions, okay? But we won't make a major, I'm surprised our lawyer, Lyon, didn't pick up on that, but that's why a motion and a second to approve the minutes of March 9th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous vote. Executive session for March 9th.
They be approved and not released until all matters are resolved.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Selectmen policy review, is that something we're supposed to be talking about tonight? Public hearing procedure and policy public, didn't we already?
Nope, these are new. This is different. Two different policies.
Policies.
Oh,
These were in the last.
oh, yeah, right.
Public
Yeah, yeah.
hearing.
Kind of like a first reading, so.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments? Do we want to email comment? Are we supposed to vote on this one tonight?
What we've been doing is putting them out there for the board in advance at a meeting, and then at the following meeting, putting them on the agenda again for approval or any amendments the board would like to make. So this is really more giving you and the public a little bit of a heads up that this is what's coming, so.
This is the second time for these, though.
I don't know if
These were on last time, I think.
It was informational last time.
Yeah, and today, today's,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
So I'm sure you all took your time to read it, so what do you think? Any problems?
Fine, yeah. I think it's good to look them over again, just and see if we want to make any changes.
And these were last adopted September 7th, 2011, but I don't think there's been too many changes since then.
And these are short, as you know from your prior experience, some of the more involved policies you've already been put in front of you for review. These are fairly short, that's why we put them both out there for you.
Any questions, changes they'd like to see in those two policies, folks? I will make I will entertain a motion to re-adopt them, I guess we could say.
So moved.
Motion's made.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Annual renewal of used article and pawnbroker licenses. And we have a listing, and I will read them when I find them. They are Susie's Selections, 1501 Bedford Street, Electric Planet, 1347 Washington Street, Passion for Fashion, 170 Bedford Street, The Eclectic Collection, 714 Bedford Street, Deja Vu Home Thrift Shop, LLC, 27 Brockton Ave, ABC Tech Squad, 201 North Quincy Street, which is the only used article in pawn shop one, and the Designer Diva, which they don't have an address for. I feel remiss if I don't give the address for the Designer Diva, because I just gave the addresses for all these other businesses in town, so what street's it on?
Washington,
For Washington.
Perfect, thank you.
where Erickson's used to be.
Oh, yeah, now you're showing your age. Erickson's, please, come on, right near where the penny, yeah, right near the golden slipper, yeah, okay.
It's where the hardware store is.
Yeah, yes, exactly, wow, you're old.
The Cleaners, it's the only place I knew.
The cleaners, yeah.
The Cleaners.
They're brutal.
I know, it's a tough crowd tonight. All right, does anybody have any issues, problem with it? Now, everything's checked up, taxes paid and all, everything, no problems with any of these?
Yes, so that your motion should be contingent upon final, just to...
Okay, you heard that, whoever's gonna make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded to approve these licenses contingent upon final approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Municipal website general discussion. You know what, if it's all right, I'm going to skip that, we'll see that till the end of the meeting, and we'll just go right into town manager's evaluation summary, which I passed out to everyone tonight, and I'm sorry, but it's a short document, and I think I'm going to read it, if that's all right. Is that agreeable with the town manager and the board, if I read it? It's a positive,
It's
it's
public.
a positive public statement. Town manager's contract requires the Board of Selectmen to complete an annual performance review of the town manager. The mutually agreed-upon review includes such areas as supervision, fiscal management, policy execution, and relations with other town government agencies and the community at large. Similar to last year, the board has rated the town manager in the above-average category in all evaluation categories as well as in total. The town manager continues to show strength in terms of maintaining appropriate composure during difficult situations and maintaining strong board and community relationships. Also, based upon last year's evaluation and feedback from the members, Rick has attempted to provide more consistent updates and information to the board on matters that are important to the town and the Board of Selectmen. I would also like to commend Rick for the role he has taken in the regionalization of local veteran services and his continued efforts in working towards the formation of a DPW. I believe that members of the board would like to see Rick continue this trend of innovative solutions to municipal issues and also to become more involved in the community and events that happen in Abington. I'd like to thank my fellow members for their input and congratulate Rick on his performance. Kenneth Coyle. And it's followed by a chart of his, the average ratings for 4 out of the 5 selectmen that met with Rick and went over some of the things. Does anybody have any comments or anything you'd like to add, or anything we may have missed in this review?
My only comment would be, I'd like to see us get the review done in a more timely manner,
Right,
just
yeah.
because the contract calls for it to be done, I think, our first meeting in January, and here we are in
Yeah.
our last meeting in March, and it just makes it more difficult for Rick, I think, to...
I think we're a little earlier than last year.
Yeah,
but
well, we are.
do
We're
need
making
to-
progress,
yeah.
but I think that's something we need to really...
So who was the chairman last year? Oh, I'm just saying, okay, so
I don't
it's really,
know.
thank you for, I apologize, because this has probably been around for about a month, and I haven't compiled the
No, I'm not,
data, so-
I think it was a whole board, as far as even getting it going initially, so it's...
It's tough, we've all got a lot of things to do, but this is someone's job, contingent upon
exactly.
this, so. Any other questions we'd like to, statements? All right. Does anybody from Troop 41 have any questions for our town manager, Rick? What his job is, maybe, because we have that question sometimes, too. No, nothing? Okay. Oh, you guys are busy watching the TV, I don't blame it. Oh, that just got turned on. It's interesting. Okay.
Could I at least, I thank the board again for, it's been, I think, a good year. We've got a lot done, and I appreciate the personal relationships with everybody. Mr. Dion's not here tonight, but I don't think it's, you can't have a good collective relationship if you don't have a good personal relationship. It may not be that we agree, but at least it's honest and people feel comfortable, sitting down and being honest with each other. So we shall try to continue that as time goes on. And whatever the case is, as you know, Mr. Dion won't be here after the next election. He's chosen not to run, but certainly he's not here tonight, but hope he still considers us a resource even after his service here to the town. So, but thank you. I appreciate your effort here.
Thank you.
It's good to know we can call and you pick up the phone most of the time, unless, we're mad at something, but we appreciate that. And it was good to see you at the parade and to meet your wife yesterday, so that was good. I hope you enjoyed staying warm.
Much more pleasant than meeting me, probably.
Thank you very much. Town manager's report, would you like to give us a report as to what's been going on lately?
Sure. As you can see, my written update dated March 20th. Number one is the budget process continues. In fact, the Finance Committee's meeting on Wednesday night is probably their last scheduled meeting with the VOTEC is coming in for their budget presentation. As of right now, some of the major issues obviously are the snow deficit, as well as the issue with state aid. Right now, there's a net loss of state aid next year, primarily due to the increases in school choice costs, tuition costs, out-of-district costs. Those are likely not going to change. However, the aid that we may be getting from the state for snow and ice removal, it continues to evolve, at least in terms of what may be coming to us, as well as the ability to maybe amortize the deficit over some period of time. So those are all going to have major implications in the budget process. So as that evolves, we'll certainly let you know. In fact, at or before the next Selectmen's meeting, I would probably give the board some sort of reasonable update as to where we stand in time. And the fact that you have pushed the town meeting off until June 9th certainly helps us understand what the state may be doing in terms of assistance with snow and ice. So one other issue we're working on, we've had conversations with our neighbors regarding possibly setting up a regional animal control system. Right now, we pay very little for animal control, $19,000. I think our animal control officer is in place. However, in longer term, I'm not sure we could actually spend less money on an animal control function, but playing defense to try to keep that from becoming a much larger cost and continue to provide good service is something that we're focusing on at the moment. So we'll, again, keep you updated as that evolves, too. And I can't help but congratulate Dory. She's completed her second of 3 pieces in becoming a certified procurement officer under the State Inspector General's office. So unfortunately, that requires trips to Boston multiple times a week, and you'll be happy to know that the only reason they restored commuter rail service to Abington last week was so that Dory could get to Ashburn Place.
Can you work on the potholes then, please?
Start driving.
If you need a ride to the train, we got somebody.
Okay.
In light of the board's vote regarding to put a capital exclusion on the ballot for the aerial truck / ladder truck that was approved last June, Town Council has advised that the article that was passed last year was a borrowing article, and in order to take advantage of a capital exclusion, that would have to be amended to make it a raise and appropriate, to provide the option of raising and appropriating. So you will see that, unless there's any objections, we would presume to put that on the annual or special town meeting warrant next year, this coming year. So I think that is the only other thing that I would, there was one other issue.
So just on that, Rick, the order doesn't matter. The vote's going to, for the townwide referendum would be...
Right, it doesn't matter, right? It just has to provide the mechanism for you to spend the funds without borrowing the funds.
And I don't know if any board members have gotten any feedback from that vote that we took. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about the one year rather than spreading it out over 10. So, I mean, I know it's a tough decision, but I think it was a good one. Do you have anything else, Rick? Or you got something you forgot? No?
Nothing else,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, great. Thank you.
Mike has a question.
Mike?
$50,000 question. What is the snow deficit?
Well, the snow deficit as of what has been billed to date is about $650,000. We expect there's probably about $100,000 of bills still outstanding just because of timing. And I know this won't make sense to a lot of people because it's local government, but what we planned for historically in the following year's budget is an over expenditure of about $400,000.
Right.
And so this is, our over expenditure is probably going to be, right now is probably at least double what we planned for. So that's why it's very important as to what provisions the state may make to help offset this deficit or help us amortize it. So as of right now, that's where we stand, and, bills continue to come in. One of the things that, I don't want to obviously get into too much tonight, but in terms of looking at the Abington's over expenditure versus some other communities, I shouldn't use over expenditure, but per capita spending on snow and ice removal. I think you look at towns like Abington and Rockland and Whitman, but particularly Abington and Rockland, that we really are, as you know, in many ways, crossroads of the South Shore, and we seem to be experiencing budget deficits that are larger than others. Obviously, the Bridgewaters and some other communities, they just don't have provide the access to Boston and other points north and west as Abington does. So it has taken an awful lot to maintain this town passable compared to some other communities. So you may see that as the months go on in terms of other communities, as you read the newspapers and see information from MMA. So, but I just thought it was kind of, it's not curious, but it's clear that the activity in Abington is significant. The ice removal is significant compared to some other communities, but you can't help but be where you are. Let's face it.
And you're talking about on a per capita basis, not
Yes.
just overall
Yes.
budget.
Right.
You can maybe just touch upon, just so people on TV can, the governor is proposing that you can spread out the costs for this year's snow deficit over 2
Right.
years rather than normal one, is that?
Right, and again, whether that's a good idea or not is a decision for each community, but having the option to do that is what the governor has proposed. Obviously, everyone's well aware this is an historic year in terms of snow and ice removal, and nobody budgets for the absolute worst-case scenario. So what the governor has proposed is to be able to spread that out over 2 years. There has been an amendment in the Senate, actually, by our own Senator Keenan, that would allow that to be spread out up to 5 years, completely at the discretion of each community if they find that to be advisable. So in some fashion, there will be some ability to do that, but I think it's premature for us to, know if that is in our best interests at this time. If we have another year next year that even comes close to this year, well, now you've got compounded your problem. So I think it may be a good idea, but we have to be careful if we do apply that. So, and it hasn't passed yet, but I don't believe there's going to be any opposition to that. One of the things that's more important to us is the fact that we have already a FEMA declaration of emergency for that historic storm, which at this point, it's hard to remember which was the historic storm, but the first major storm of the year where we had more inches than we had historically, made us eligible in this region for FEMA reimbursements. And I know the governor has also applied to FEMA for approval for total snow as a single incident, the January and February snowfall, which would extend every city and town's capacity in Massachusetts to apply for federal reimbursement, which would make a huge impact on our own budget process. So one of the advantages we may have in terms of trying to delay some of the costs, whether it's amortize it, is to try and buy time to determine what FEMA will do, because sometimes the funds don't come in the same fiscal year, even though they may be approved. So that's going to be an interesting thing for us to keep our eye on, the timing of that, as opposed to whether or not we're going to try to raise and appropriate all the funds this year to cover the entire deficit. So all these pieces are literally coming together every day. I know you read them in the paper, you see them in your own alerts from Mass Municipal Association. So it is evolving literally daily.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mr. Burbine, first.
Just on the timing, I understand the money might not come in the fiscal year. When do they make a determination whether or not they'll actually grant the status?
Well, I believe...
Does that take a long time to do, or? I know on the first one.
The first one won't, I've been told that the funds from the first declaration should be in by the end of this fiscal year. So there wouldn't have to be...
But they've actually done, I don't...
That's been approved by FEMA.
Right,
yes.
so the approval and the funding, I understand, but
Right, so
as long as you have the approval, you know it's coming.
From a cash flow standpoint, that's correct. The town accountant, with the approval of the Department of Revenue, which won't be an issue, can set up a journal entry. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology, but she can set up a deficit on the books that won't affect anything else that's going on in town. And once the money comes in, it gets paid off. With regard to the latter request by the governor, I don't know what the timetable is on that being approved, so, but that's obviously very important to our budget process,
Right.
too. So I don't have an answer on the second one, but on the first one, we should be able to use this current, for FY16, whatever it is that's finally approved for the town of Abington. And as you have seen, I think at the last meeting or somewhere between, we've applied for approximately $240,000 in reimbursement, 75% of that. What cost will be approved still remains to be seen.
But the application on the second, to your knowledge, was actually made, it wasn't?
Oh, yes, yes. And I have to give the police chief and his staff credit for continuing to stay on top of that, working with our other public safety agencies to make sure that as many dimes as we can uncover that were literally very legitimately utilized for cleanup and some of the safety requirements of the aftermath, including dealing with some of the the buildings, that those have all been included in subsequent requests. It's just always a little bit daunting in having that kind of money tied up in the approval process by the federal government, who's so far away from us in terms of what they don't have a stake. We have a large stake in whether or not we get $250,000 in reimbursement versus $100,000 in reimbursement. That makes a big difference for us. So,
thank you,
Mike.
On another subject, are we all set with that snow and ice? Just on the animal control officer, I was on the, Gordon Bates would probably remember better than I, but we had a permanent building committee back in the 80s where this kennel situation was a problem back then. How do we reached an agreement at that time, I'm pretty sure, with Whitman to use their kennel, and I don't know what's happened all that period of time, but how do we do it now? I mean, if the town doesn't have a kennel now, I know not only was a problem with the kennel, but it was a problem with disposing of the carcasses of roadkill and stuff that you have to do it in a fairly reasonable, fashionable time, or you're going to get, you're going to have some issues. But how do we do it now?
well, there's two ways. One is that the town of Whitman has allowed the animal control officer, as you know, we've shared an animal control officer up till just fairly recently, to utilize the Whitman facility. It hasn't been needed on that often, but the local veterinarian, Dr. Curtin, I believe is the name, Curtin, has also has allowed the animal control officer to I hate to use the word store. I mean, they're live beings, animals at their facility also. And again, those costs are paid by the property owners when they pick up their stray dogs. So it doesn't happen often, but those are the two ways that we've been able to deal with the fact that we don't have a kennel. And realistically, it also points to the fact that we don't need our own building facility, and most communities don't. So, but having a formal arrangement with another entity, private or public, we don't have a formal arrangement at the moment. We haven't needed one, but we don't have one at the
He
moment.
said, I thought one existed now. It could have elapsed or something
Yeah.
happened, but.
In the past, I think Dory's mentioned that she believes that there was an agreement with Rockland years ago.
It was Whitman.
Well, it was definitely Whitman? Yeah?
Whitman. I'll check
Okay.
with Mr. Bates, see
Okay.
if he remembers what it was. And that's fine, but the issue, Bob, his last name, he's retired? Hammond, Bob Hammond is retired, or?
He's retired from Whitman, and so right now Abington is the only community that he's currently working for.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions with the town manager's report? Okay. I think our last order of business now is to go back to the municipal website, general discussion about that. I don't know how we want to proceed with that.
Mr. Chairman, can I suggest that maybe our IT director give a brief update on some of the changes he's made over the last several months, just as a precursor to your discussion?
I would love to get him up in the microphone and
I-
talking. I'd love to see that.
And it better work, or we don't. Yeah.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening.
So part of the problems with the old website were we only had 10 licensed logins, so you had the postings by only 10 people. With the new website, I cut the licensing down by half, so we're saving $750 a year, and we can have unlimited users. So each department now has their own login, and they can post their own documents and agendas, meetings, whatever. It seems to be running a lot smoother now. We have a new community calendar up there too, which might even benefit Sage, because with the community each different group can post their own events.
Including Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts.
Yes, in Lions. Yeah, and within the event, it ties in with Google Maps, so you can actually map it right to Google. So when you open up the event, it will tell you directions, and there's links to social media too. So, I was thinking of actually trying to eventually do get the community involved and have a photo contest for the background of the website.
That's a good idea. Excellent idea.
Right now, it's just the bridge, but people have different ideas of what
Sure.
around town, so. But, you have any questions about what?
Questions about the website or anything?
I know in the past, there's been a lot not put up on the website, only because it's all paper.
Yeah.
And I know I was just putting up a bunch of campaign finance stuff, and the paperwork was 6 inches thick. And I had to scan it all in, and so it takes a while.
Time-consuming, yeah.
Takes a while. But if it's presented in electronic form, it can go up in
Go
5
right up,
minutes.
right? Do you get any feedback from residents? Do they email you with any complaints about the website at all, or?
Some little problems we've been finding, but we fix them right away as soon as but nothing, I don't really hear from anybody.
No, I just had someone stop me after the parade and said that they sent an email through the town to me. Now, I don't know how that works, but I never received it a couple weeks ago. Is there a link for my, I don't know how it works. But they
I'd
said
have
they
to look,
sent-
because we can link your email address
Okay.
to your name on the site.
That'd be perfect. Yep,
Yeah.
I have no problem with that, so maybe, if the other selectmen want to do that, that'd be good. Mike?
First, I want to commend Wayne. We've gone a long ways with what we've done
Been
already.
a couple months, so, but it's getting there.
A couple things, the front page we've talked about, and I think we've talked about this as a group, is maybe changing the history into something a little bit more vibrant. And I think that my comrades here, we've all gone on the websites and looked at different ones that might give us some better ideas. Just some of the things I saw on there is like, we are really way behind on minutes. For instance, I tried on the Sage because it was an article we got, and I wanted to see if they had voted on it, so, and they're like 2012 or something like that. But they're not alone. I don't mean to point you guys out. I think it's a problem where you don't have a paid recording secretary. Believe me, it's tough. I know that, so. But just some of those things, will the people of Sage be able to post their own minutes once they're, or?
Not to the website, no. If they email them in or whatever, we can do that for them, because they're an outside group. It's only town employees that can post to the website.
And that would probably lead into my next question, because it would seem to be a lot of work on you personally to have this come. Maybe not, I mean, I don't know.
It's actually not, I can literally post something in minutes if they send it to me.
Okay.
We try to keep it contained. Anybody that has a login to the website can actually do it right from their house.
Okay. And then on some of the websites I was on, I think they call it video streaming, where you could go to a selectmen's meeting and you could have that played right on the
Yeah,
computer.
play right on the website.
Is that possible to do? Is that a lot of work? I mean, we went on so many, speaking for myself, but I think the other ones, there was so many of them, there was just so many different things. Obviously, you can't plug them all in, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But
Now, was that the ones like Abington Cam, where they have them out there?
I think that, if I remember correctly, I think the one I was looking at was Rockland.
Rockland?
Yeah.
But when they, are you talking about this, right now, the selectmen meetings are posted in Abington Cam?
Yes, that's right.
So we could just put a redirected link right there to,
Yeah, something,
each one.
and I think the other boards that are on there, Conservation Commission or School Committee or
Yeah.
whatever, the ones that are on the
Yeah,
video.
that's possible.
Would be something like that, but,
Yeah, you could link, you just put a link up to
Yeah,
that.
URL.
Just saying to view
Yep,
minutes,
yeah.
I mean, to view meetings.
from this date,
Yeah.
and put the URL,
Yeah.
and they click on it, they go right to that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think, again, reading some of this, that the technology it's only going to get better in the future, and it is something that the residents and the staff, if used properly, I think would help a lot. I mean, during the storm, it was really nice to have people actually say, well, I could tell where the rubbish was picked up, or even some of the things during the storm about clearing off your pipes coming, your exhaust coming out of your house, and different things that if you hear the building creak, just simple things that could have been on there to help the residents through a tough time. That'll be the front page, I think, and I don't know how you would go about changing that,
I know, it's
Do we want to have?
just a matter of taste, I mean,
Yeah,
it
it just
really is.
depends
It's a
on-
matter of-
Or do we
You
want?
see, you can't change it here tonight.
No, no,
You know,
no.
No, but we could ask two members of the board just to get together and
That's,
come
I
up with
think,
what
would be
they'd
a
like to
better
see
idea to do.
the webpage to look like, and, either show the entire board by showing similar sites, or
It's very flexible. We can manipulate it in a lot of different ways, so.
Can I ask you a question? Is there any way you have statistics as to what people are looking at more often than not?
I can probably get that.
Just because I would think if there's a lot of people looking at the town clerk's office for specific things, or
Yep.
the building, those are the things that we should probably feature on the front, the face page, or whatever they call it, the home page.
they're probably wanting to see the video of all of us. I would
Visits?
imagine.
Probably not the
You're talking about visit statistics?
I think there's a,
But if that's something you could do, maybe over a period of a month or something, just to see
Yeah, but you'd
what
want
are
that
the
on
more
the...
popular places people are going, and
Yeah.
then,
Okay, I'll take a look.
okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suggest that maybe we have this, about once every third meeting or fourth meeting until we get it up, and that we have it in, maybe, and get it up, because it has come a long, long way, and it's.
Yeah, the biggest thing is getting it in an electronic format.
Yep.
Like the town reports and stuff, that's a book, so it's kind of hard to scan it in, but if we can get the printer to give us it in electronic format, then it's a lot easier.
But did the members see other towns that they liked the looks of the layout and the ease of operation?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
But the problem with me is I saw things on like say Whitman or Rockland or Amesbury, whatever, that I liked certain aspects of
Yeah.
it, but then there was certain aspects that were stronger in another one. You know what I mean? It just,
But could maybe you and Maureen get together and pick out the things you like in the different ones, and then just come
Whatever
report
you
back
like.
to the board and say, let's incorporate this, let's incorporate that?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what I'd suggest, if it's all right with you guys, is maybe we'd meet with
I was gonna say,
That's what I was
meet with Wayne, and
Yeah.
then maybe you could
and
develop.
then make some
Yeah, you could
changes.
go in front of a computer and say, this is
Yeah.
what we like.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking Wayne could staff your subcommittee. That's the way I look
Yeah,
at it.
I agree.
Yeah, and very honestly, if there,
Sorry,
and again,
Wayne.
I'll say this
Sorry.
publicly, if there's some residents out there, there's some very talented residents that have some ideas that they should share them with us, or, the administration, and see if we can get this up, because it is, it speaks well of our town, I think, if we get something that's that good, so.
I think if I could make a comment too, I like the idea of having a subgroup together to meet with you, Wayne, and show you different ideas of things that we like, but the things that we like are one thing. I'd also like to ask if we can survey, for lack of a better word, some of the town departments to find out what things they're being asked for, because Wayne can find out what's being hit on the website, but where people are maybe not finding something, and they're making a call to the treasurer collector's office, or they're making a call to
If they receive a lot of calls for something that would be simple
What do
enough to
you
throw
get,
out there.
what are you
exactly.
getting constantly on, if you ask the town clerk, for instance, she might say, oh, this, that, and the other thing.
Marriage
you
license,
know.
dog license, that kind of
And
stuff.
maybe there are things that we are not thinking of, but they, who are in the offices every day, are like, oh, I get this call all the time. So I'd like, if we can meet, to also have some input from,
That'd be
We
perfect.
will do that simultaneously and
do that?
put that out in.
Could you put on the town website, like tomorrow, I think so everybody that's watching on TV, a link that they could send in what they would like to see on the website? Just like an email address, and they could send a
You need
message.
to be looking at me.
Yeah, don't ask me.
No, but you know what I'm saying, right? Right there on the front page of the website saying, ideas, website ideas, and people can email you,
Yep.
you're probably getting them emails
Click
right
on it, it'll
now.
come right to me.
I know
And
there
then
are
just
some
capture
sites
that
that
stuff
have
and-
feedback options, so.
Dory, you said, you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
because currently, right now, that's a good idea, because we do get comments to the town, and those emails go to Rick and they go to me. So we get questions for all different departments, and it comes to us, so we know a little bit about what they're looking for. But that would be great, get a better idea.
I mean, we can even actually do editable forms on our website, and once they fill it out, they can hit a link and it will email us right to the department.
That's nice, yeah.
I really like the idea of a community calendar, because this is a perfect example, and I don't mean to, we had a Lions Club comedy night, and unfortunately, had we known there were 2 other comedy nights that same night, our attendance would have been more than the 30 people that showed up, so it was not a good time. But if the community calendar had been updated and we had it in advance, it probably would have been a good thing, so.
But
I
if,
would always say that keep in mind the community calendar, which Wayne is in place now, as you mentioned, is only as good as those private groups taking advantage of it too, so.
The more hits you get on the website, the more people will realize it's there and use it, utilize it.
Using
Mike?
No, the only comment I make, if they send in comments, if they're positive, send them to me. If they're negative, you guys handle them.
Well, that's Maureen, she's got.
I'll take it.
I have to say, I've used the website a couple different times over the last 2 months, and it was really easy to find out contact information, hours for the different offices, including the calendar of this meeting, the agenda that was posted Friday that was approved Thursday.
Excellent.
So it's definitely some good content that's out there.
They're getting better, thank you, that's excellent, good to hear that.
And thank you, because that brings up a good point. There's our view, there's those who are in the town hall's view, and then there's the user's view. And so that's the kind of thing we'd want.
And that's an
protect.
excellent point, because, I don't know how to fix anything, but I know municipal government, so when I'm looking at something, somebody who may have a PhD in medicine doesn't necessarily understand how local government works, and they don't know what to look for or how to.
Where.
So that's a very good point. It's not how we look at it, but it's how the users would look at it.
It was pretty useful to find the town charter as well, and
Good.
be able to read through that online.
Excellent.
Thank you. All right, anybody else on the board have anything else for the meeting at all? We will take public comment right now, so if you guys have any questions you want to ask, it's your last chance, because we're going to get ready to close the meeting.
Are you done with Mr. Norling?
I'm sorry, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Great job.
Thanks.
Yes. Oh, what is sage? Perfect. What is sage? Susan,
Ms.
can you come up and
Brennan will
answer this
answer
gentleman's
that.
question, please? What is sage?
You didn't expect an encore, did you?
That's a good question.
Yes. SAGE, Saving Abington with Green Energy. It's an acronym. So anything that derives from shutting your lights off at home, saving energy. We try to do a lot of that outreach and teaching and learning. What else?
And finding ways to help the town government, which is about a $42 billion million dollar
Oh, you wish.
operation. Yeah. Helping the town save money through using less energy or finding alternative energy sources. That's another thing what this committee does for us.
Any other questions, Scouts?
That's a good question.
No?
This meeting pretty boring, wasn't it?
I like honesty.
Like your honesty.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Oh, yes, sorry.
There's one thing that I mentioned to, meant to update you on, and Dory had mentioned to me earlier. We have about 30 replies from our Business Association letter, and they continue to come in. So to the extent that anybody's watching this, and please let us know your contact information. We would like to have some brief discussion about this during the May 4th meeting, the Route 18 meeting, the planning board is sponsoring. I thought would be a good opportunity, because obviously all the businesses are being invited to this, as well as many residents. So we're looking to try to put together, pursuant to the letter we put out, as much of a directory of email contacts, so we don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars in postage every time we want to have contact with the business community. So if you're watching and you received a letter from us, please deluge our office with your contact information, so.
How many did you send out, Dory?
We sent out about 240, I think.
240, yeah.
About 240.
And how long ago was that?
This was pretty good, Maureen.
Couple of weeks, 3 weeks? Yeah.
Jersey.
We've got
But
that
it outlined the importance.
30.
30.
Do you have a mailing list now of all Abington businesses?
Yes, we do.
If I could indulge the board and you folks, the Abington Lions are I guess I volunteered to be on a subcommittee. We want to have a business expo for every business in Abington. Maybe the high school gymnasium at some point, to try to do a yearly thing where every business in town is invited to talk about what they do and display their wares, or, give information, whether it be large or small. There's a lot of businesses in Abington people don't know about. They're small, they might be in a strip mall, they might be out of someone's house. So we want to make that a yearly event. I know the town of Weymouth used to do it in the past, and it was a pretty neat thing to go to, so I would like to, I would love that, and, maybe we can get the board to sign on in that regard, or town government to have a booth too. So
There are a lot of businesses that didn't know existed.
there are a lot of businesses in town you don't know about, so.
So our immediate goal is to have as much feedback as possible, so we can get as much representation at that meeting regarding Route 18 in May, and kind of use it as a little bit of a kickoff opportunity also, so. Just what I forgot to
On the
mention.
meeting, we have, as a town, though, I think that we have very little to say as to what's going to happen, if I understand it correctly. The only people that can really see is the Conservation Commission.
Correct, that is correct.
But as a town, we're more or less going to be, but as informational would be very helpful.
Right,
There'll be land taking too, correct?
yes.
Yes, okay.
How would you, is it 9 feet on each side?
I would have to check, Mike, I
I
don't.
think it's somewhere around, they're going to take 9 feet on each side of Route 18.
Is that including the potholes they already took, or no?
No. You can have the potholes, yeah. I'm sorry.
Anything else?
That's all I hate.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Thank you, good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys, you were great, thank you.